Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for July 5th. I am hoping that all of my neighbors to the south had a good long weekend. Um, there's a lot to celebrate, even though the country seems to be so incredibly divided. So, one of the things that, is really hopeful, I think I saw this on Ring of Fire, I think. Um, they were talking about a very pro-Trump group of voters, and they were doing a focus group on them. And they have been sort of with them as the January 6th hearings have been unfolding. And I think it was as of the last hearing. Every one of the people in the focus group, remember, these are pro-Trump people, all said he should never, ever be allowed to hold any sort of office again, any sort of office with authority. So it's getting through, right? It's getting through. The legal analyst of Fox News apparently has said, this is bad. He's done this stuff. It's not a good look, and he should not ever hold office again. Apparently, Fox News, it's the company, I guess. I don't know. Have switched their allegiance, if you will, to Ron DeSantis for president for 2024. Now, listen. I'm not suggesting for 1 second that's a good choice. I'm just saying at least it's not, the other guy. So, the hope, of course, is that eventually things balance and there is a sense of harmony. For those of you who may have missed it, on Friday, I released a video that was a channeled message, just simply a channeled message from Spirit, sort of for hope and understanding. So if you haven't seen it, I invite you to take a look at that. It brings a little bit of clarity to, excuse me, to the situation as you realize that this is a massive sort of energy shift that is going on. It's not just about one country. It's not just about one leader. But there's definitely a movement towards just a more holistic, inclusive society. And we're moving that way. Sometimes it takes longer than we would like, but we work with what we've got. Okay. So I want to take a look at sort of a couple people today, if you will. I do have my pendulum. So I want to ask some questions for my pendulum. So if you want to grab yours and then let me know what your results are, feel free. I love when you guys do that. Okay, so let's start with the pendulum and see what we can see. Okay, so of course the pendulum going side to side tells me it's ready to talk. Pendulum, show me yes. We'll shift to a back and forth motion. Pendulum, show me no. And it will go round and round. Is Mark Meadows at this point, reading the current energy, is he likely to testify to the January 6th committee? Is that something he is likely to do? Okay, so we're getting a no on that. Is he going to, or has he permanently damaged his political reputation as a result of the information that is coming out now? Yes, he has. the new information that is coming to the January 6th committee, is that going to create an even larger amount of impact in terms of the information that the public receives? Okay, yes. And is that going to yet sway more voters' opinions when it comes to the midterms? Yes. So let's just clarify, because that's a pretty open-ended question. Is the information coming out from the January 6th committee going to have an impact on Republican voters who would have been more likely to vote for a election denier? Are some of those people going to reevaluate? Yes. Okay. And is that trend going to hold through into the presidential election in 2024? Okay, and that's a yes. I don't know if any of you saw, again, I think it was on Ring of Fire. He showed a clip of the debate that went on, I guess, in Wyoming. And truly, I don't know, there was like 5 or 6 of them on the stage. Honestly, one sounded more insane than the other one. Some of them like really didn't appear to have the mental faculties, honestly, to speak clearly. There was a lot of oh no, like blank mind. Okay. Liz Cheney was the only one who sounded rational, reasonable, and intelligent. But at this point, she is still not leading in that race. Is Liz Cheney going to gain ground in Wyoming? Okay, so she's going to gain ground. Let's just ask it. Is Liz Cheney going to retain her seat in the House of Representatives? Okay, so when the pendulum does that, where it just goes still, it means that there is not a clear-cut answer or energy to read at this point, which is good, because I bet had I asked this question 6 weeks ago, the answer would have been no. So, let's take hope from the fact that clearly the energy is certainly shifting enough. Am I correct in saying that there are going to be criminal indictments as a result of the information that the January 6th committee has and will release? Okay, yes. And are those indictments or some of those indictments going to result in guilty verdicts? Yes. Even the Fox News guy, that legal analyst guy, even he thinks that there should be an indictment against Trump. So, are there going to be indictments against Trump? Yes. And are those indictments going to come from the January 6th information? Okay, yes. And is there going to be convictions? Yes. Okay. when Trump talks about running again for president, does that have more to do with fundraising than intent? Yes. Okay, so when he talks about running for president, this is about raking in the money from his unfortunately very gullible supporters. Okay. Good. I think that's it for now. The pendulum's right here in case something else pops up. So I want to take a look at sorry, talk about a mind going blank, at Mark Meadows. Hold on, please. Sorry about that. Hold on here. Let me plug my sound back in. I realized that I was shuffling the wrong deck. So as you know, my Rider-Waite deck is the one that I always use for political readings. And I had grabbed the wrong deck, and I need to use this one. Okay, so today I want to look at three people. I want to look at Kevin McCarthy. I don't know why he is sticking in my head today, but I want to take a look at what's going on with him. I want to take a look at Mark Meadows. I want to take a look at Merrick Garland and Trump. Let's see if I can get through this. Obviously, they're going to be minis. So here we go. Ooh. All right. Come on down. I have questions. Get away from that glare a little bit. All right, let's start with Mark Meadows. Mark Meadows' current trajectory, Mark Meadows' current trajectory, Mark Meadows' current trajectory. Well, that's a big surprise, eh? Okay, so he's actually figured out that he's made a deal with the devil. Okay, he's got enough clarity at this point to realize that it was his greed, it was his sort of ability, I guess, to just look away from the darker sides and the darker aspects of what was going on. He recognizes now that he's kind of in a lot of trouble. And the trouble is, so legally, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he can be charged with sort of aiding and abetting an idiot. I'm not sure. But he realizes now that not only are there legal ramifications for him, but that the information coming out, the communications coming out about him are really, really putting him in a bad light. And there isn't, right now, in any case, he can't see a way out of it, right? He was so wrapped up in being that close, if you will, to the seat of power and the abundance it was going to bring, and the notoriety and the attention, and his name was always in the news, etc., 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 that it really blinded him to the reality and how insane things had become. Now, I'm not excusing him, not for 1 second. But this is sort of showing a mindset where he got to a place where he was sort of so entrenched that even when he knew what was going on was not good, he didn't have he couldn't see a road out. He couldn't see a way to extract himself, and so that is how come he just chose to do one, either Donald's bidding, or two, nothing. So right now he has some clarity, it looks like, about where he's at in a very real sense. However, he is still very much intertwined with Donald. I don't know what he's doing right now. Like, I don't know if he's sort of working on the Trump reelection campaign, or I don't know what he's doing, but it feels as if he's sort of still in that place where whether he wants it to be or not, in his head, he feels he doesn't have a choice. His loyalties, if you will, are still with Trump. So this is the thing. He, in many ways, appears to have not actually had an issue with the lies. He was really okay about the whole, the election's been stolen. And as usual with things with that former president guy, things just spiral out of control because he talks and he talks and he talks, and then everybody's sort of left scrambling behind this guy. But a lot of what was going on, he was in complete agreement with, on just a, I almost want to use the word strategic level. He could see how what was going on, the whole stop the steal, all of it. He could see the advantage of that. And that was how come he continued to sort of feed the fire, right? He thought, foolishly, I think, that he could sort of maintain some sort of balance or equilibrium. And as things spiraled out of control, he realized that he absolutely couldn't. There was no balance to be had. And so now he sits and he watches his fortunes, if you will, diminish. He watches sort of the bad luck or the karma roll towards him. So a couple of things. One, this magician is talking about sort of the trickery that went on, the deceptions that went on, the lies, etc., in trying to, I don't know, keep the emperor with no clothes in the throne or on the throne. But this also speaks to the fact that he himself, well, I don't like this at all. He himself may actually have some tricks up his sleeve that is going to allow him, if not to escape, but to, it looks like, not feel the entire impact of justice. I don't think he's going to escape it, but it feels as if there are some sort of levers that he might have, and whether this boils down to executive privilege or I don't know what, or the fifth, just try not to incriminate himself. but it feels like there are some levers or some tricks that he is going to be able to implement that could very well not escape justice, but it feels like the impact or the damage is going to be a little bit less severe. And you got the Six of Cups here, right? So it almost feels as if, not that he's going to be able to get back to where he was, but that he's not going to be, as time goes on, he's not going to be viewed as sort of the accomplice that he is viewed now. Now, I don't know, maybe that's because there's more information to come out about people who were even bigger accomplices. I don't know. But, yeah, something's going to go on with him where it just feels as if he's not necessarily going to pay a really, really big price. There's a price to be paid, yes. Is it going to be sort of debilitating? I don't think so. Well, not loving that. Let's take a look at Kevin McCarthy, who for whatever reason is sticking in my head today. I'm not sure what that's about, but let's find out. Whoa. Talk about cards that just do not want to go together, right? And again. There we go. And one more. Kevin McCarthy, current trajectory. Kevin McCarthy, current trajectory. Kevin McCarthy, current trajectory. Page of Pentacles, Queen of Cups. Eight of Swords and the Hierophant. Okay. So, make no mistake, he is a political animal. This is somebody who understands how politics work. He may not be great at it, but he understands it. He understands the money games that are played. He understands the power games that are played. But where he's finding himself right now is on a road that there is no sort of graceful way, if you will, for him to get off of. All right. He is on a trajectory that in many ways is sort of his own making, because he decided to play political power games, and his emotions got all wrapped up in it. His greed got all wrapped up in it. He really liked feeling like he was a powerful man who had something to say. And the fact that most people thought what he had to say was stupid sort of escaped his notice. Interesting. Same Six of Cups there. All right. So he, right now, still thinks that he can ride this game to a victory. You'll notice he's been very sort of quiet lately, right? Because none of the Republicans can actually defend what went on in the past. None of the Republicans can put a good spin on how unbelievably corrupt and vicious their president was. So they don't really have a lot to say. It looks like, though, he thinks that if he just sort of sits quietly and kind of doesn't look at what is in front of his eyes. She doesn't look at what was going on and what he frankly was a part of. Um, I mean, this is the person who had control of the House when, like, what, 120 or whatever it was of them, of his people, voted to reject the results of the election. This is who we're dealing with here. But for reasons I can't understand, he actually still thinks that he's going to be able to somehow, come out of this as a winner. Ultimately, he's not. Ultimately, it's going to be some big disappointments for him. I wonder if he may even not be successful in retaining the minority House leader title. I wonder if after, I don't know if it's the midterms that would do it or the next election, but it feels as if he's going to lose the confidence, I think, of some of the Republicans in the House. Yeah, he's going to be good about sort of trying to make promises and inflate his own sense of importance and status and ego. But when people actually look really hard, he's not going to come out in a very good light. And whether that light is because they think he did too much to support Trump or they think he did too little to support Trump. But there's definitely a sense that when things are analyzed, when people look at him objectively, that he could have some trouble there. Yeah. Interesting. He has Page of Cups, Page of Wands, Page of Pentacles, and Page of Swords. All 4 pages have come up for him. So you're talking about, information moving forward, information coming forward. And I'm not necessarily convinced that information is going to show him in that great a light, but there's definitely shifts and changes that are coming. I guess the question is whether or not he's going to be able to ride them out. And again, there's that sense of being disappointment, that sense of discontent. So maybe he doesn't quite manage to get what he wants, or maybe perhaps the reward is not as grand as he thought it would be. It's just the one that fell out, right? That 4 of Cups. So that's that sort of discontent, kind of being disappointed with where things are. And, I guess you could see that, right? If the information coming out of the January 6th committee continues to be as bad as it is, Republicans across the board are going to have to pay for that one way or the other. And I think that, as we've seen, a lot of Republicans are watching these hearings. It's shifting the Republicans' views. It is shifting a lot of people's views, because even people who, and let's face it, most people don't pay sort of continual attention to what's going on in the political realm, but now they are. And I think a lot of people who weren't paying attention are horrified. And let's face it, you have the abortion thing, you have the COVID thing, you have the corruption, you have the gun. There are so many issues now that, because, listen, you can blame the Supreme Court from now until eternity, and you're not wrong. But the reality is the Supreme Court is what the Supreme Court is because of the dirty deeds and tricks that the Republicans writ large engaged in. And I don't know, but of just those 4 topics, and God knows there's lots more. Like, who haven't they pissed off, frankly? All right. Let's take a look at. I think we're going to look at Trump, and then we're going to look at Garland. This is what came flying out, the Empress. So again, an abundance, an abundance of information, an abundance of growth in terms of communications, information. This is not going to go well for, the King of Fleas. Trump current trajectory, Trump current trajectory, Trump current trajectory. Okay. So there's still that part of him that believes that he can just bully his way through all of the legal stuff that is going on around him. And slowly, I think he's starting to realize that what worked in the past, what worked when he was, Donald Trump Esquire, man about town and business mogul. He's realizing that that's actually not going to work for him. And he continues to get nothing but bad news. And this is starting to feel like it is people closer and closer to him. So whether his lawyers are not giving him the kind of news he wants to hear, but he just is not getting good news sort of anywhere he looks, particularly with the law. I think that the investigation in Georgia is really, really going to cause him problems. It's going to be the 2 female DAs that create the lion's share of issues for him. Certainly more in the immediate future than not. Oh, speaking of which, have you heard that Georgia looks like it could actually go blue? Yeah, you guys are in Georgia, like really, really rejecting the whole Republican nonsense. So, yay, Georgia. The guy who's running against, I believe it's Reverend Warnock, is just doing abysmally. He's not doing well. And so it's looking, of course, you've got Stacey Abrams coming along for the governor. It's going to be interesting. So, yay, Georgia. But it feels, as I was saying, like the 2 DAs are actually going to give him a lot of trouble in the shorter term. There are going to be 3 specific things, 3 specific legal investigations that are just going to literally break his heart. Like they're literally going to destroy him and his perception of himself, if you will. The information coming out about him is abundant, and it's not just from one source. It's coming from a bunch of different areas, and it continues to grow, continues to amplify. And it's not it's not even remotely helpful to him. Look at this: Queen of Wands, Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Swords. Women are going, and of course the Empress, women are going to be the bane of this man's existence for the rest of his days. Certainly his attack on Cassidy Hutchinson did not go well. Nobody believes him. Nobody she's not a social climber. He doesn't know who, he knows who she is. She wasn't the coffee girl. It landed flat, in part because it's the same excuse he always uses, but more importantly, she was so credible. So women are going to continue to, as we go forward, he is really, really going to start paying a price in terms of the women in his life who are looking at him, investigating, associating, whatever it is. They're going to cause him a lot of trouble. There's going to be more information coming out about money, monetary dealings, either people who supported him financially or money that he distributed. I almost want to say like the $1 million he gave to Mark Meadows, whatever pack or whatever the heck it was. The $60,000 for a 3-minute speech by whatever the hell her name is, Junior's girlfriend. So more information is coming out. The White House, interesting. The White House looks like it's going to stand firm against him. I'm not quite sure what that means. It certainly, it looks as if not only is he not going to get any sort of support from the White House. I can't even imagine what would make him think he would. But more importantly, it feels like despite it all, the White House itself stands strong. Stepping into his energy, I can tell you he's so angry at this point, he's not rational. He's so frightened at this point, he can't see straight. There is just nothing, like his energy is just volatile. It's like maybe in tribute to the 4th of July, but it's like there are like fireworks exploding all around him, except I don't think that they're pretty red, white, and blue ones. There is just all of this really kinetic energy flying off of him. He is incredibly angry. He is very, very scared. And this is kind of the crazy thing, right? The more scared he becomes, the more he believes his own press releases, the more he believes the gaslighting. And you know what? This is the thing. People think that either he knew and he's like the mastermind behind it, or he's too stupid and he doesn't understand any of it. And honestly, the truth is somewhere in the middle. He absolutely knows how to manipulate people, places, and situations. He's done it his whole life. It's not that he is like some puppet here that was being used by other people. He knew exactly what he was doing in terms of the strategy of putting the insurrection into play. He knew exactly what he was doing in terms of creating the whole, stop the steal nonsense. But what has happened over time is that he's come to believe that what he has said, what he says is true. Don't forget, it was 18 or whatever months ago. It's a long time ago, January 6th. Since then, he has, let me say it this way. At the time, he knew exactly what he was doing. He was in on it. He knew it. He understood it. 18 months later, he has convinced himself that what he knew was a lie in his head has become the truth. Okay? Lately I've been thinking about Sean Spicer and the very first press interview he did, with this ill-fitting suit and he looked uncomfortable, that guy. And I will never forget, and I don't know why it hasn't become sort of a soundbite. But a reporter asked Spencer in that very first press room meeting if Donald Trump still believed that the election was rigged. This is 2016. And he said, yes, I asked him about that before I came out. And he said, and I quote, it would only have been rigged if I lost. I won, so it was like a perfect election. Why that hasn't become an ongoing soundbite, I swear I don't understand, because it was there. It was there Inauguration Day or the day after Inauguration Day. I can't remember. 2017. Let's take a look at Merrick Garland. This is going really long. Sorry. I really don't like to put out long videos. But let's take a quick peek at Merrick Garland and see how he's doing. And I actually think we're going to broaden that. I think we're going to take a look at insurrection, Garland, Department of Justice. Insurrection, Garland, Department of Justice. Insurrection, Garland, Department of Justice. Good. Even though it looked as if they were slow to move, and in fact, I'm going to say they were slow to move, it has become more and more apparent that he needs to do what he needs to do. And as every day goes by, it becomes more and more clear that not going after Trump would be more dangerous to the country than going after Trump. And I can understand there is a balance. But right now, he is gathering information. He is keeping it incredibly, incredibly close to his chest. He is not giving a whole lot away. And, and he's one of these people who honestly, he thinks, listen, I already made a statement that the January 6th investigators are looking into this. There's nothing else I'm going to say right now. That's just how he is. But when it comes right down to it, he is going to hold the rule of law above everything. So right now, he's keeping things very, very close. And we know this. We watch it. It makes us a little crazy. But ultimately, the expectations or the hopes or the role of the United States District Attorney will be fulfilled because he is going to follow the law and the Constitution. He understands that the country, Lady Liberty, if you will, it is necessary for literally for the country, for the sanctity of the country, for the good of the country, that this has to go forward and he has to be made an example of. And yes, he's not going to be reckless. He's going to choose very, very carefully what the indictments are about, but he will make those hard decisions. He's aware of the burden he carries, but he doesn't see it as a personal burden. He really does feel sort of the burden of the country, okay? He is not trying to ignore his responsibilities, but he very much is trying to ensure that as this moves forward, it is very, very fair, it is balanced, and kind of like no matter what side you are on, you will not be able to deny the justice or the just behavior. It's a lot of work. They have a lot of work to do. They're going to get through it, and he's going to find that balance. So I think for Merrick Garland, what we're looking at, look at this, all this hard work pertaining to knowledge, information, following money trails, following documentation. There's a lot of it. I mean, just the stuff from the January 6th committee is massive, not to mention whatever else that the Department of Justice in and of itself has been able to accumulate. Yeah, he'll bring them down. He will bring them down. So let's just have a little faith and trust and confidence in him. Okay, sorry, this went really long. I don't tend to like to do videos that take 45 minutes, but there it is. That is your pendulum and your 4 minis. I hope it was helpful, insightful, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Have a good week. Enjoy it. Enjoy the sun. Enjoy whatever's going on in your world. Find the happiness. Find the pleasure. Until next time, take care. Be well. We'll see you really soon. Bye-bye.